What if I told you that words spoken by Jesus, words that have been hidden for 1,500 years, were just discovered buried beneath the ground in Israel? Archaeologists digging near the Sea of Galilee just uncovered something that's sending shockwaves through the Christian world. An ancient mosaic floor with inscriptions that appear to contain a personal message from Jesus to Peter. A message we've never seen in the Bible before. And after sitting underground for over a millennium, it's finally being brought back to light. Right now, researchers in Israel are digging up evidence from the very first days of Christianity. What they found. Possibly one of the most personal messages Jesus ever shared with his followers. For over 1,000 years, it's been hiding under layers of dirt and rock. And it seems like it was just waiting for the right moment to be discovered. Before continuing, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like this video if you want to spread God's truth. Let's continue. Alright, let's go back to those shores of Galilee and talk about these hidden words. Just north of the Sea of Galilee, there's this quiet area where archaeologists started digging. They thought they'd found ruins of an old church from the 500s AD, what we call the Byzantine period. Back then, Christians would build churches right on top of places where Jesus actually walked, taught, or did miracles. As the team carefully brushed away centuries of dirt and rubble, they started seeing something incredible, a mosaic floor, still in amazing condition. The colors were still bright. You could tell it was handmade with incredible care. But nobody expected what came next. Hidden right there in the design were ancient Greek inscriptions. And one of them? It stopped everyone in their tracks. It mentioned Peter. And possibly, just possibly, words from Jesus himself. Scholars are still carefully working on the translation, but here's what's got everyone talking. These words seem to point to an intimate moment between Jesus and Peter. And get this, it's not the famous scene from the Bible where Jesus says, "Feed my sheep." This appears to be something different. Something we've never seen in Scripture before. Could this be a record of other words Jesus spoke to Peter? Maybe something that early Christians remembered and passed down by word of mouth for generations? Something that someone finally decided to write down before it was forgotten? The mosaic dates back to around 500 AD. That means it's been underground for more than 15 centuries. The church was built during a time when Christianity was spreading like wildfire across the Roman Empire. Christians everywhere wanted to preserve every memory, every word, every story from people who actually walked alongside Jesus. Now, here's where the location gets really interesting. This church was built close to ancient Bethsaida, and if that name sounds familiar, it should. That's Peter's hometown. It's also where Andrew and Philip came from, according to the Gospel of John. This whole area was ground zero for Jesus's early ministry. Miracles happened here. Disciples were called here. And according to the Gospels, this is where Jesus and Peter walked on the water together. So what does this inscription actually say? Even though parts are worn down from age, scholars have pieced together something that roughly translates to, "Peace to you, Simon, my rock, for upon your trust one will build." Sound familiar? It should. It echoes that famous verse from Matthew where Jesus tells Peter, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell won't prevail against it." But this version, this newly discovered phrase, it feels more personal, doesn't it? It's like Jesus was giving Peter peace, reassuring him, reminding him that his faith mattered. That he wasn't making a mistake by trusting Jesus. So everyone's asking, why has this been buried all this time? And why are we finding it now, of all times? Throughout history, lots of early churches got abandoned or destroyed. Wars, persecution, natural disasters, you name it. Researchers think this specific church might have been buried during an earthquake that hit the region around 700 AD. The structure collapsed, got covered up, and eventually became lost to time. But here's the thing, just because it was buried doesn't mean it was forgotten. Maybe, and I really believe this, maybe in God's timing, this message is coming back to light exactly when we need it most. Think about the world we're living in right now. Uncertainty everywhere. Fear. Confusion. A lot of believers are asking the same questions Peter asked back then. Lord, is that really you? Can I actually walk with you? Am I strong enough for this? And Jesus' response? He doesn't criticize. He doesn't condemn. He reassures. Peace to you, Simon, my rock. Whether Jesus spoke these exact words directly or they were passed down through the early church, the message speaks to everyone who's ever struggled, who's ever doubted, who needs to remember something crucial. Jesus still calls people. He still trusts people. And he's still building his church on regular people like Peter. People like you and me. It's so easy to skip past the quiet moments in the Bible. But some of the most powerful lessons come from small, simple conversations. When Jesus talked to Peter, he wasn't talking to someone who had it all together. Peter had messed up big time. He denied knowing Christ 3 times. He doubted. He failed. But Jesus saw deeper than all that. In John chapter 21, after Peter's denial and after Jesus came back from the dead, Jesus gently restores him. 3 times he asks, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And each time Peter says yes. Each time Jesus responds, "Feed my sheep." This wasn't just a second chance. This was a calling, a purpose, a mission. And now, 1500 years later, we might have just uncovered another echo of that very same calling. Here's what matters most. Whether this phrase came directly from Jesus' mouth or whether it's a treasured memory that early Christians wrote down, the message is the same. Peace. Trust. A foundation you can build your life on. Discoveries like this one, they remind us of something crucial. The Bible isn't just some ancient book collecting dust on a shelf. It's part of a living, breathing history. The land of Israel is still full of hidden treasures waiting underground, just waiting to be uncovered. Every once in a while, one of those treasures shows up and shines a completely new light on what Jesus said and did. If this mosaic really does preserve a forgotten message from Jesus to Peter, and that's a big if, but an exciting one, then we're looking at something incredibly precious. It tells us that the first Christians didn't just care about the big, public miracles. They treasured the private conversations too. The quiet, heart-to-heart moments that changed the disciples' lives forever. And here's what that reminds us of. Jesus knows you personally. Not just as part of a crowd, but as an individual. He speaks peace directly into your life. He sees your trust, even when you feel like it's barely hanging on by a thread. And he calls you to follow him. Not because you've got everything figured out. Not because you're perfect. But because he is. Archaeologists are still studying this site and working on the inscriptions. There's definitely more to come. But right now, this mosaic, this simple but stunning message, has already captured the hearts and imaginations of believers all over the world. Just imagine this for a second. You're standing in the exact spot where Peter once stood. And you hear the words of Jesus, not just reading them from a page in a book, but hearing them echo up from the actual stones under your feet. Peace to you, Simon, my rock. What an amazing reminder that Christ's church hasn't been built on fancy buildings or impressive temples. It's been built on faith, on trust, on the powerful words of Jesus that still speak today. Even after sitting buried under Galilee's soil for 1500 years, those words have come back to the surface. And they speak to us right now, just as clearly as they ever did. Thanks so much for coming on this journey of faith and discovery with us today. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, now's the time. You'll get more biblical mysteries, updates on archaeological findings, and powerful teachings straight from a holy land. May Christ's peace be with you always. And may his words keep guiding your steps, just like they guided Peter's all those years ago.